And again, please interrupt me. Anything you want to share or you want to comment on or you have any questions. So this, I prefer it to be more of a discussion than I'm just reading and talking, right? So we did talk about this SDK, Crown Chakra, Sahasradal Kamal, or Sahasrara is mainly the meaning is that it's a thousand petal lotus. Okay. So like this, each chakra in the traditional sense. So SDK falls under the traditional chakras. I don't consider this as an heartfulness chakra, right? But nevertheless, whether it's traditional or heartfulness doesn't matter, right? So these are the concepts which have evolved over a period of time. Like I said, I am basically going to some of my notes on this. I am yet to capture the ninth chakra here. I should have. Yeah. See, again, this is the root chakra. Now, as you move up, the number of petals are going to change. If you see here, it has one, two, three, four petals, right? And each petal is denoted with a root uh, syllable, you can call it, right? So, for example, you cannot read this just because it's in Hindi. Those who can read Hindi can read it. So it's Vam Sham Sam Sham. Okay. So this is typically these root syllables. By repeatedly pronouncing them, you can activate this chakra as per the earlier traditions. Okay. But in our heartfulness, we don't touch any of these, right? So we only look uh, at a full notes, but I'm not seeing it today, but I'll show it to you sometime later. So where were we on the book? So that's why SDK, like I was showing you last week in the, when I was drawing the picture. So at the bottom, this is the Kundalini, and the spinal cord is going all the way to the head. And on the top of the head, where is going all the way, this is the SDK. And how we approach in our heartfulness, this is the Kundalini, and we start from point one here. This is our heartfulness way. So we go from point one to point two to three to four, and then five, six, seven, and then we go like this, right? So then we are touching after 10th point here. This is SDK. So our journey is through the front points. See, because traditionally it is thought that the energy or the prana is descending from SDK all the way into the Kundalini. Okay. And in the past, the seeds thought they could traverse back all the way up to SDK to get the enlightenment. But most of them will fail. I don't know if any of them have succeeded because it's like, taking the river when it is merging into the ocean, taking it the river back to its origin. You need enormous energy and effort to do it. Whereas if you are taking a different path, a frontal path to achieve the same journey, there is no energy, there is no resistance. That's why if you have to go back all the way, so they thought they can awaken this Kundalini, but when the Kundalini is awakened, enormous force surges upwards and it will basically shatter the entire nervous system. That's why we don't stimulate any of the traditional chakras in our heartfulness. Rather, we don't stimulate any chakra at all, even the frontal points. All that we are doing is we are cleaning, we are charging, and then it reaches its super conscious state at each chakra and then moves on to the next one. So the journey becomes very natural and very automatic as we practice. Very less effort is required and there are no side effects. Here there are enormous side effects. Okay. So it's not a good path to go against the path of the prana. So that's why we channel the prana. And we even when we begin the yatra, this as the journey, the energy is channeled towards the second point from the top when it's coming, and then it is taken across all the you know higher points. You see how easy this journey becomes. Okay. All right. So we did discuss this in our last session, and you can watch the video. All right. So where were we? We're almost finished. We almost finished, right? Okay. So the what we are seeking is merger with the center, the highest approach available to us. Bliss as the SDK is like scenic overlook on the freeway and not the destination. So we talked about this curvature last week and how the we overcome the curvature by the help of the teacher, correct? So that's why each point has its own blissful state, and it's very difficult to cross it because we want to enjoy that state of bliss at every point. So that's why we need someone to constantly pushing us up and moving out of that state so that we can progress. Okay. So now we're going to proceed to the 11th chakra because I'm not going through this again in detail because we did discuss last week. But any questions on this?
Monica too shy.
All right. Everyone is quiet. So I'm moving to the next topic, 11th chakra. So again, 11th, it is synonymous to earth. I did share how we are calculating this, right? See, we only have five elements. The five elements are the water, air, space, fire, and earth. Or it's rather earth, water, fire, space, and earth. So whenever I'm looking at the point, so this is synonymous to point one. So point one means Earth. Earth is the first point. So Earth becomes predominant. Then the second, so second, and then the third, then the so sorry, I'm really sorry. Water is not the second point. It is the space. So I let me draw my own. It's okay. So when I say this is point one as the center, this is this is the predominant. Then you go to the space, second point, and then you come to the air. Oh, sorry. This way. You go always clockwise. Then you come to the fire as the third point, and then you come to the fourth, and then the fifth. So it's always this is the direction. So suppose what is the predominant element? How do I draw this for, let's say, third point? So what is third point here? Third point is fire. So then fire becomes the center. Then you traverse above. So this is third. Give me 1 second, okay? Okay, I'm sorry. So today we have an Earth Day happening at Lake Eola, and the organizers were calling me. So I had to take it. All right. So where are we? So what I was showing you is how do you identify the points? Because the call was coming, I'm kind of my attention was going here and there. Okay, let me go back to the share. Okay. See, how do you identify? For example, fourth point. If I say fourth point is my predominant element, then you traverse like this. Then this is going to be the fifth point, and you go clockwise, right? And then this becomes your fourth point. No, this becomes first point because it's phi is already done. So then you have to begin again. That becomes first point, and then this becomes second point, and then this becomes third point. So this is how you identify. So you don't have to remember anything. You just traverse like this one point above, and then start moving in an incremental way. So after fifth, if you increment, it has to be first point and second and third. Suppose if I want to draw what is sixth point. So 6 is equal to 5 plus 1. That means it is synonymous to the first point. So all that you have to do is make the center as the first point. Then if you could traverse above, this is second, and then this becomes third, this becomes fourth, and this becomes fifth. Fifth is the air element. So suppose if I want ninth point, 9 is 5 plus 4. That means it is synonymous to the fourth point. So you just draw fourth here, then this is, so we already draw fourth point. So this is fourth. Like this. So you got it, right? So it's easy. You don't have to remember anything if you follow this understanding, right? Okay. So now going back to the 11th point. So the 11th chakra, predominant element is earth, and the color, each chakra has its color, pale yellow. And location is 2 finger widths from the crown chakra towards the back. And the defining the quality is the vision of reality. Helplessness, restlessness, absolute. And the region is also known as Prabhu. Prabhu is being absolute. Prabhu is also known as the Lord, if you have to translate it. And similar vibrations as 1 and 6, because 1 and 6 is also 5 plus 1, which is same as first point, right? And 10th is 5 plus 11th is 5 plus 5 plus 1. So that makes it again similar to the first point. Okay. So now I'll draw your attention here to the Babuji statements. Babuji said, when religion ends, spirituality begins. And when religion ends, reality begins. And when reality ends, bliss begins. And most of you know this statement, right? So here, at the 10th point, we are almost ending the religion. So, and then let me also explain you what is ending religion means. Ending religion means I'll drop my religion and then I'm doing something else. It's not like that. So until this is the fifth point. Until we reach the fifth point is you can call this as it is known as heart region, of course, in English, but in Hindi it's called pind. Pind is all material existence. So when I cross this fifth point, what typically happens is my transaction, the transactional nature of approaching God ends. So this transactional nature, lack of a better word, he called it religion. Okay. What it means is, see, we are always transacting with God. God, I come to your church or temple every day, so you better do things for me. So we are trading our going to the temple or church with the God. So we are always in a transactional nature. So that's why, if we please our boss, we'll get increments. Same thing we'll do with God. We try to please God by praising Him, by praising or by doing things. And then we think, okay, now I have done my part and God, do your part. That's how we approach God. So that is a very transactional idea of dealing with God. When this transactional idea ends, our religion ends. In the sense, now we are no longer transacting with God. God is and I am, and we are trying to become one. So that's why the spirituality begins. Spirituality is all about becoming one. So your spirituality begins. But even that has to reach its culmination, and this culmination happens at 10th point. That's why I said in our last session, one of the sessions, that the true liberation takes place at the 10th point. Even though the books have said, sixth or seventh point is a liberation point, but there you only liberated from the transactional nature of life. So you have become free. You have become free from yourself and free from God. But here, the real glimpse of the higher nature, sort of appears with clarity. And that's why spirituality ends. And truly, at 11th chakra, the reality begins. And how did Babuji explain this condition of reality? He said it's blah, it's tasteless, feelingless. Okay, and he called it as like a desert, right? So it's all sand dunes everywhere, sand everywhere, all around you. So that's how the reality feels like. So obviously, you don't enjoy this reality as much you enjoy the 10th chakra. Because here the vision is appearing, you are sort of experiencing certain ananda, bliss. But when the reality begins, it has to be restless. So now you understand why the 11th is known as restless. It is a vast region, at the same time, you are restless to get out of it because it's tasteless. Okay, so now let's begin the reading. As you begin this chapter, I invite you to meditate for a few minutes on the meaning of these words, life and existence. If you're if you have a journal handy, write a sentence or two about the meaning of each word. If it's easier, write down your responses on this page itself and mark the date. So when you revisit, you can see how your answers change over time. Describing experiences is a tricky affair. It's like describing a rainbow. Anyone who has seen rainbow can attest to its beauty and grandeur. But to put it into words is a challenge. Regular journaling helps you develop the vocabulary to put into words. So what is felt in depth of the heart. So that's what we are putting it in our journals, correct? So in my understanding, existence is eternal. When existence becomes encapsulated in a body, it becomes life. Your life has a beginning and the end. So, like, we read in chapters, right? So, there is a journey and then there is a blip, and it's a journey and there is a blip and there is a blip. So, this is the beginning of the life, end of life. But the existence is eternal. So, that's why the soul, as per the definition, is never born and never dies. This is never born and never dies. See, even in traditions which don't believe in the next life or the what you call the transmigratory life kind of a deal, they also believe that there is afterlife. So there is this earthly life, then the life in heaven or hell, depending on how you conduct yourself on the earth. But there is also afterlife. So everyone agrees there is afterlife. No one has agreed that we ended completely. We are completely annihilated. Our existence ceased to, uh, what should say, our existence ceases. It never happens like that. Correct? So in any tradition you take, there is the life is a continuous thing, right? But the spiritual traditions think that there has to be a life comes after, and where this existence, this blip happens, it can happen in this dimension of earthly dimension or in higher dimensions. But there is life. Okay. So there are so many books were available in the market from different authors on this, patterns of afterlife. The many masters, many lives. If you refer to that book, it does talk about many earthly existences, correct? I don't know how many of you read that book, but if you have not read it, you can read it. Anyways, so in my understanding, the existence is eternal. When existence becomes encapsulated in a body, it becomes life. So your life has a beginning and an end, but existence is continuum. Your body has a life and your soul has existence. So a hint that you have completed the journey at the 10th chakra is the realization that there is an eternal universal existence. In your heart, you feel the universal existence and feel its flow from the center. So, whatever shapes, forms, and colors life may take, they all flow in the continuum of existence. So, while lives can be many, existence is but one. So, you knew of this before, but at the 10th chakra, you have the conviction of your experience. So, you know that you are eternity itself. When this feeling matures, then you are ready to plunge into the 11th chakra. So I'll stop here. We're almost at 8:30. Any comments, questions, observations thus far? All right. So everyone is quiet, so we can, I'll end the recording and then we can continue into meditation.